as a company, they finally launched their new electric vehicle, which is, of course, Tata EV. It has been launched in India. The car is touted to be India's most affordable EV. It has been priced at 8.49 lakh rupees, and it goes all the way up to 11.79 lakh rupees. So that's the Tata Tiago EV. It's going to be available in all of 4 variants. And bookings are going to be open for the EV hatchback from the 1st of October is what I understand. Deliveries will begin in January next year. Tata has, of course, announced the EV variant of the hatchback on World EV Day. But this is what we got from Shailesh Chandra of Tata Motors. This is what he said at the launch of the vehicle.
Tiago is a very successful car, and therefore it gets the rub-off benefit for as far as EV is concerned. The customer segment for an EV versus Tiago, say petrol, are very different customers, right? As I said, there are 3 kind of customers who would be still seeking for a product like this. There are people who can afford expensive car, but they are still looking for a car with premium feature because of their taste, but coming on a smaller footprint. So that's one category of customer, which might not be typically a Tiago petrol customer for us. Or a person who's doing, 50 kilometer plus, even 100 kilometer a day, because of his daily commute and the need of that particular customer. They see a huge saving by going for an EV.
All right, so that's the word coming in from the management. Now let's get expert perspective on this. Sergius Barretto is managing editor at Autocar India, and he's joining us in the studios. Great to have you with us this evening, Sergius. Now, do tell us, how much does the price of the EV version of the Tiago change the actual debate between EV lovers and petrol heads? The entire cost of acquisition part of that debate seems to be turning one big part of that EV versus ICE debate, isn't it? And I mean, how does a Tiago EV fare against its ICE version, for example? That should make it easier to understand, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Vikram. As you said earlier, this is India's most affordable EV. 8.5 lakh is a very attractive price. Regular petrol engines, ICE versions, as we call them, of other hatchbacks cost around the same. Now, what Tata have smartly done, if they've taken a smaller kind of hatchback and, electrified it, so it's at par with, a little more premium hatchbacks. Now, how does it compare versus its ICE variant? It's about 3 lakh rupees more expensive. So yes, EVs are more expensive, but as an absolute, if you look at it at 8.5 lakh, it is something that you can approach and a lot of people can approach. So I think that's what's gotten a lot of people excited.
So the approachability of electric vehicles now is becoming that much more. Now, electric mobility is also a lot about reducing carbon emissions, and that's supposed to be a big draw. How true does that stand in the light of the fact that we still put out a lot of CO2 in the atmosphere when we make those EV battery packs? That really turned the debate again against electric vehicles and how big we should go with them right now?
Yeah, that debate's going to rage for a long time because right now, production of an EV, yes, it is more carbon intensive. In fact, Volvo were very open with their own, numbers saying that it puts out more carbon for them to make an EV than a regular ICE engine. But, as EVs get more mainstream, that will start dropping. What also needs to change after that is the electricity supply, because that also has to be green. If right now you're on coal-fired plants, which in India we are a majority, in fact, of our electricity comes from a coal plant, that's not really going to help the debate. But it's moving there. I suppose it just needs to move a lot faster, and you'll see that EVs will be the greener option, in the future as far as, the overall CO2 is concerned.
But how well are we also addressing the range anxiety that many people who want to switch to EVs, they seem to have that. Will a car have enough power to travel a certain distance in excess of, say, 200, 300 kilometers? And that's still a concern. So now with these cars coming in, especially in the lower price bracket, right, how much further are we addressing this issue, and how quickly do you think we're going to extend the range of many of these electric vehicles in Indian market?
So, that's a very interesting point. Range, everyone has this range anxiety, and you want to have, 300, 400, 500 kilometer range and you feel secure, but you're adding cost because it's a larger battery, and the battery is the largest cost component in an EV. Tata Motors, for 8.5 lakh, it's a very small battery. The range that they claim is for the base model is only about 250 odd kilometers in real world testing conditions at Autocar. Once we get it, we will test it. It should be around 150. But here's the thing, a car like that is going to be in the city, and for city use, 100, 150 kilometers is really more than enough. It'll take you to your office and back, shopping, and you charge it every night as you would charge your mobile phone, So, yes, it's not a car that you're going to do interstate long distance travel with, but for a city car, it makes great sense.
Where do hybrids fit into this entire debate right now? And that's an important piece to address, Sergius, because yes, you have hybrids which take relatively smaller batteries, and you have cars like that. You have the Toyota Hyryder. Are they better options right now as we make this transition? How do they fit into this entire EV versus, the typical combustion engine debate?
So, a lot of people have written them off. I, though, still think they have a place today. For example, if you are doing a lot of interstate or long distance running, obviously a hybrid is a very good choice because you're not dependent on the charging grid. The car charges on board while you drive, and you get a much better fuel efficiency. If you look at the Toyota Hyryder, like you said, the mild hybrid version, they claim a 20-kilometer kind of efficiency, whereas on the strong hybrid, the claim is as high as 27. So you can see there's a clear difference in the mileage. So I would say right now, given the models that we have and the infrastructure that we have, if you're looking at EV, look for an EV if your driving is going to be, short distances, primarily in the city, somewhere where you can charge every night back at home like you would charge your phone. If you are doing longer distances and you want like a newer powertrain, then look at a hybrid because that's really something that gives you noticeable, efficiency gains. And you can run, like the Toyota Hyryder for at least 50% of the time in electric mode. So it's good for long distances.
So meanwhile, when you consider the hybrids and you look at electric vehicles that are available to Indian customers right now, looking at moving up, perhaps, if we can call it moving up towards electric mobility, how's the competitive landscape looking and how quickly do you think that's going to change with infrastructure being that much more available and perhaps that scenario is going to change sooner rather than later?
Oh, it's going to change very quick. Tata, of course, have done a fantastic job. They've got 3 EVs out in the market right now. You've got your Nexon, the Tigor, and the Tiago now today. Fantastically priced, so it's affordable to all. The other EVs are all really at the higher end. You have like the MG, and then you've got Audis and Jaguars. So really, it's only Tata in sort of the mainstream. Mahindra, though, will be launching the XUV400, which will take on the Nexon. So that will come in about 2 or 3 months. And after that, we should see a few more models coming into the mass sort of segment. But for a real floodgate to open in the mass market, I would say another 2 years at least for the floodgates to open.
Sergius, you're testing cars all the time and you are reviewing them. So when I ask you about your favorites within electric vehicles that are currently available in the market or perhaps the ones that are going to enter the market soon, which ones would those be?
Oh, actually, it's a very interesting question. So my favorite, honestly, is the Tata Nexon because, it's the right size battery. We had these EVs at our office and I was heading down to Goa for a trip and I thought, okay, which one do I pick? And I realized even the one with the maximum range is not going to make it, So really the Nexon, I really like that because you can use it in the city. It's compact, it's maneuverable. And for long distance driving, I stick with ICE vehicles right now. So I think, the Nexon is my favorite because it's really, really handy in the city.
Well, for the moment, it does seem like we'll have to stick to the city when it comes to range anxiety and perhaps stick to ICE vehicles, right? Yes, right. It seems like that, at least for the moment, and we hope that changes sometime soon. We won't have to wait that long. Sergius, always a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks so much for joining us in the studios here.
Welcome.
Cheers.